if you want some tips to help facilitate change in your life, and if some of that change even pertains to weight loss, then our guest today is going to share her life, her tips, her expertise with you. Stick around. You're going to enjoy this interview for the Empower You Energy Healing and Manifesting series. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Isabel Martins from healthandnaturallife.com, and my guest today is Celeste Himanek, a professional licensed counselor, and she works with families and individuals helping facilitate change. So hi, Celeste. Thank you very much
Hi, Isabel.
for being here and sharing your expertise and your knowledge with the Empower You tribe and everyone else that's watching us outside the group. And I'm just going to give it to you and ask you, what do you do more specifically so that everyone can know, and how did you come about doing it?
Okay, so I work for an agency here in Southern Oregon, and we provide mental health services for the county and also our neighboring county. And I lead a team that works with families who are at risk, who have either lost their children into the foster care system or are in danger of that. And so our team works with them to get those skills on board, to get their children back in the home, and also get those skills secure so that they can live the rest of their lives without assistance from outside agencies. So that's what I do with the team I lead. And then I also have a private practice where I use a technique called induced after-death communication to help people connect with loved ones on the other side.
And that sounds fascinating. So I'm going to ask you if you can elaborate a little bit more, please.
Sure. So, and also in the work that I do with families, they often are coming from homes that are very chaotic. They've been raised in chaotic, abusive homes, often, not always. And so a lot of work that I do is around trauma, and which led me into looking for effective ways to deal with that, which I got trained in EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. That's a really big mouthful if you're talking about big words, right? But it really is quite amazing to implement. And you literally can watch people processing painful things and changing right in the room with you. And EMDR is one of the techniques that also facilitates that connection to the other side. So it's pretty amazing stuff. It's pretty exciting.
Okay, and how can people know more about that? Do you have any type of material that you can direct them to?
Sure. If they're interested in EMDR, you can look that up online. I mean, there's a plethora of stuff about that. Probably one of the best books about that is written by David Grand, and it's, just look him up and you'll find it, but it's about speed healing and powerful change. I can't remember the title of the book really quick. And then the induced after death communication, there's also a book and a website on that. And that was discovered by Dr. Alan Bodkin, who discovered that by accident. He was doing some trauma work with veterans at the VA in Chicago, and was using EMDR, and a person who had long-term trauma, military service, and some really ugly stuff. And during the process of a session, he connected with someone on the other side and left the session joyful. And Dr. Bodkin was a little worried about him. And then he had that happen with a few more vets. And then he thought, I wonder if I can do this on purpose. And then through intentional use and figuring out what he did, he was able to implement that and make those connections with intention. And I've had my own powerful experience, and it's really, really amazing, just amazing stuff.
Yes, so. That's fascinating. And of course, everyone can also contact you
Sure.
to know more about
Sure.
that, but we'll get to your contacts later. So what do you love about your work?
What do I love about my work? Like I said, when you can see the burden of grief and trauma that people have been carrying around, and literally watch that slide off of them in a session where something has been either so terrifying or so just heart-wrenching for them. And they're literally like, oh, and now it's just a memory. They're able to take that and file that away. It doesn't wipe your brain clean of everything, but it just allows you to access painful things as a memory instead of this activator that just constantly, I get tired of the word trigger, but triggers people. And that's just so amazing. And that people, they have to show you a lot of their stuff, and that I'm honored that people trust me enough to do that with me. And so I am very respectful of that and just consider it such a sacred thing to be able to walk with them through that. And there's that. And then the fun part of it is, like being out in the community. I just took my daughter to the doctor last week, and we're walking down the hall and I hear this little voice calling my name and little footsteps running. And then I get this hug, and it's like, oh, that is the coolest thing when I see the kids and their families in the community, and and their face lights up and they can tell me how great they're doing. And it's not like, oh no, it's Celeste, run the other way. It's that warmth and that feeling like you're really helping people make a difference in their life. And it's just an honor to me.
Yeah, it's work that comes from the heart and a connection heart to heart with other people. And
it is.
Yeah, everyone responds to that. That's just beautiful.
Yeah. And, I kind of grew up in a family where everybody was loved, and there was no doubt about that. But you didn't run around saying you loved people. I mean, it was much more reserved, and you kind of kept that. And it was a feeling, it was never spoken, but there was kind of this feeling like you only gave it to certain people, or people had to earn that. And so at first it was really awkward for me as a counselor when I started to realize, oh my gosh, I love all these people. I really do. And they walk away with a piece of my heart, but that's okay, because it just keeps growing anyway. Right. I don't know if you've ever seen How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but at the end, he had this puny little heart, and then his heart just keeps growing and growing. So that's kind of what my heart feels like. It just keeps getting bigger all the time. Oh, there's room for one more. Come on in.
Yeah, it was already huge to begin with, and it just keeps expanding to accommodate everyone.
There you go.
And I know, Celeste, it's perfectly an accurate description. And not just for people, for animals too.
Absolutely. So
now I'm going to get a little bit more personal in your life specifically. Do you have any recurring patterns, tendencies that you see that keep on coming up over and over again? And well, usually those are the ones that we try everything to try to solve them. If you have those patterns, what has worked for you in terms of helping to ease those patterns?
Yeah, probably a lifelong thing that I've worked on for decades is around my weight, because that's that must be one of the things I chose to work on in this lifetime, right? And it was a big moment for me last year when I decided to have bariatric surgery, and that felt like a failure to me. And because I always had this, try hard, or this real warrior feeling about it. Just try harder. You can do this. Suck it up. And, the diet of the month club, you name it, starve yourself this week, do juices that week. I mean, I would do anything. I could never lose more than like 48 pounds, and that was it. And I would get stuck. And that moment when I experienced surrender was amazing to me, because I finally had to do that thing I tell my clients to do all the time, ask for help, and I really am not very good at that at all. And when I was able to experience that allowing of, I do need help with this, and I can't do this by myself. And it was a literal shift I could feel in my body. I felt like I lost 50 pounds when I made the decision. And so that was last July. And since then, I've lost 106.8 pounds because every ounce matters, right? And, you know, there's also this concept like, oh, you had the surgery, so you got this beat now, right? And it's still something I have to work on all the time. And I also can identify that right now I've lost a lot. This is kind of like a danger zone for me because I feel so awesome compared to how I did feel. And I can do all kinds of things I couldn't do a year ago. And I have to be careful that I don't stay here. So it's a real interesting line to walk in that I love who I am and I'm really happy where I'm at, and I still want to change. So you don't have to feel miserable or unworthy to want to change. You can feel wonderful about who you are in the moment and still want to do better. And so, yes, I'm really happy about where I'm at, and it's time to move on to the next step because I've been kind of lazy and it's been kind of fun. And, you know, I reaffirmed my relationship with chocolate and we're still good with each other. But it's really cool because I can have a little chocolate and still lose weight. So I love that. But I'm getting healthier all the time. And that's also part of it is I no longer, the scale doesn't own me. And it's more of, I don't look at, you know, my birthday's in a few months and I don't have that, oh, if I can just lose 50 pounds by my birthday, you know, I own me now. The scale doesn't own me. Nothing else owns me. And it's a nice place to be. So
very nice place to be. And I can see in the way that you explain it. And it's the perfect space also for changes, loving where you are.
Yeah.
Having a goal to move towards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting past that resistance, and it's getting past those, you don't have to hate pieces of yourself to want to do better. And it seems like that fuels a lot of change for people, is that shame and that discomfort. And if that's what it takes to get you moving, then use that. But don't live there. You know, you don't have to drag all that ugly with you too. So, you know, and I understand it. I've got some before pictures that they break my heart to look at. And that was really difficult for me to share. And it was a real intentional decision to document that as I went through this. Because there was that, oh gosh, you know, and it literally hurt me to look at some of those pictures. But I had to get to that point to get to this point. And I'm okay with it. So
everything was perfect in the way to get you to where you are, and it's going to be perfect to get you to where you are going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people in the weight loss community, they call it their journey, and it is a journey. But for me, it felt, it's a journey. I don't know. And I'm like, okay, so I don't like those words. Is it a pilgrimage? Is it what is it? And it just kind of hit me last week. It's a trip. It's just a trip, you know, and we're all on a trip. And so that kind of lightens it up a little bit for me.
Let's make it a fun cruise. Why
exactly.
not?
I'm always trying to find the fun way to do stuff. So
that's the best way for anything to change. Love the present moment, have fun with everything, and then the rest just comes. You don't even need to do anything. And that's so I'm going to segue to ask you, do you have any tip, exercise, technique regarding facilitating change that you can share with the Empower You tribe?
Yes, I do. And it's one that I do with families, and it can be a lot of fun because I've made up a sheet that's got about 20 things on it, and I asked them to pick 3 things to change. And on the list are things like brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, brushing your hair with the opposite hand. I won't do that one because it's too scary. The end result is listening to different music, taking a different way to work, parking your car in a different direction, putting your contacts on with, you know, a different one first, or you're
safe.
well, it could be, or, you know, just the way you put your shoes on every morning. And so when you're trying to change those little things, you're bringing in that aspect of mindfulness. And so often we're just sleepwalking through our days. We do the same thing the same way all the time. And, get up, put on your fuzzy slippers, go get your coffee, one thing after another the same way. And when you start interrupting those patterns, then making little changes make big changes easier to do, because you're starting to wake up to things. And kids really have a lot of fun with this, because they'll put the list on the refrigerator, and the kids love the opportunity to catch their parents. You said you're going to do that, And I had a woman tell me the other day, she's like, yeah, my daughter caught me in the doctor's office, and she was reminding me about what I had to do. So it's the kids are often much better at this than the adults are. So it just makes it fun for families.
Yeah, and they love to have fun. So doing things in a different way, some things that they have to do every day, do it differently. It's a game.
Yeah. Yeah. And it brings up that question, why do we like routine so much? Right? Because I actually like doing new things. And I've also recently took a larger role at work, and I'm managing a new clinic, and I'm always telling people about change, and there I am sitting in my new office going, where's my stuff? This isn't comfortable, And then I'm saying, but it's good for you, Celeste. It's good for your brain. So it's, that practice what you preach stuff really comes through.
Okay. Yeah, love that. I'm going to just ask, how can people contact you if they want to know more about what you do, about what you shared on this interview?
Sure. The easiest way right now is through my email, which is chimanek@gmail.com. And I've got a website in the process of being born. So that'll connect to that down the road a little bit. But that'll be a good way to find me for now.
And probably Facebook too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In the group, you'll have Celeste's name there, so you have her email now, but you can also reach her on Facebook, and the website is gestating. When it's born, yes. We'll share that.
Yes. Yeah.
So Celeste, anything else that you want to share with everyone before we wrap this interview?
No, it's just thanks for this opportunity. It's really good for me, because there was that discomfort, right? And it's really fun to watch our colleagues going through this process too, and being out there and taking that step to decide that you're ready to be seen. Yes. is a big one. I know, not just for me, but for a lot of people.
It is. And it's such a group of beautiful people that it's just a joy every time that we get to connect one-on-one. And the initial reaction might be, I'm not sure. Everything just works out beautifully. And there's a lot of gold and beauty and love and wisdom that comes from everyone. So this is just the most amazing group of people that, we have around us. Yeah. So lovely. Thank you very much again for doing this, for sharing your experience, for being open about everything and being able to share your wisdom with everyone here. So great. Everyone, if you like this interview, just hit the like button, the love button too, comment, do anything that you want. If you have any questions, please do put them in the comments below. And if you're watching this anywhere other than on our EmPowerU Facebook group, and you'll find a link somewhere to come join us. Consider this your invitation, because it is a group of beautiful people, everyone committed to their own personal development, to being empowered, to living the life that they want to live and creating it by design. So it's just a high frequency, really amazing group of people, and you're officially, cordially invited now. So I hope you enjoyed this interview too, and see you on the next one.